agenda tonight, please do. There'll be information to contact us during the meeting. So we're going to start off tonight with opening flag salute. We're going to do flag salute. We're not standing. Katie's going to flash the flag. There's no disrespect at all involved in this. Is just what we have to do. When we get back into the meeting regularly in front of everybody, we will be standing and talking to everybody. So right now, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I get a roll call, please?
All right, Commissioner Blakely.
Here.
Vice Chair Bradley.
Here.
Commissioner Halley.
Here.
Chairman Mobley.
Here.
Commissioner Seitz is
Here.
not here. Oh,
Here.
you're
He's
here.
there.
I'm here.
It's not
Okay. And Commissioner Wells.
No Gloria now. All right, thank you. So we see about getting approval of the minutes from the November 23rd meeting.
I'll submit that we approve the minutes, or I'll make the motion, we approve the minutes as submitted. I'm tripping over my tongue.
I second.
All right,
Great.
Katie.
Commissioner Blakely,
Yes.
Commissioner Bradley, or Vice Chair Bradley. Sorry, it's going to take me a few weeks.
Yes.
Vice Chair Bradley. All right. Commissioner Halley,
Yes.
Chairman Mobley,
Yes.
and Commissioner Seitz.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. All right, so moving on, we're going to do oral comment from the public. Members of the public may be heard on any item of interest not on the agenda. Speakers addressing the commission be held to 3 or so minutes, depending on how we're doing. And by law, the commission cannot deliberate or take any action on issues that are not on the agenda during oral comment. So at this time, if there's anybody out there that wants to talk to us, wants to say anything, have anything of interest they want to bring up, give us a call, talk to us, get online, whatever you want to do. We'd like to hear from you. And Katie's going to flash all that information about how to do that here in just a second. And in front of you is everything you need to know. We'll give you a little bit to digest all that information, try to get on. For anybody that wants to comment on anything else during the meeting tonight, on any other agenda item, it's the same information. Got that awkward moment of silence.
You know, Katie, if we don't have anybody calling in, I'll make the motion that we close the public oral comments at this time.
I'll second.
All right. So Katie, we're not hearing anything?
No.
All right,
Do a
let's
roll
move.
call. Actually, we don't need to do a roll call vote to close the comments.
Perfect. All right, well, let's move on to real business. If anybody calls that we'd be glad to talk to them. Okay, so first order of business tonight is to a consideration of 18-month extension of approval of approved tentative map to subdivide a 1.82 acre parcel into a 5.99 acre parcel into two parcels consisting of a 2 acre and a 3.99 acre in size. The applicant is Ed Tanfrani.
Can I make a
So,
point of order for you a minute? That
Oh, that's right.
1.82 is supposed to be scratched.
that's right, you're right, and I forgot that one. That is absolutely right. Liz, can we get that adjusted, please?
Yes, yeah, Katie will fix the agenda for the record. And then also I'll state that, yeah, the title is that it is a 5.99 acre commercial parcel into two parcels, 2 acres in size and 3.99 acres. So the 1.82 acres was an extra number just to confuse the matter. So I apologize for that. So the tentative map for this subdivision, it's the Tanfrani subdivision. It was approved by the Planning Commission on November 12th, 2019 by Resolution P 2019-3022. And so that initial approval gives what we call a map life of 2 years. So that had an expiration date of November 11th, 2021. They did submit a written request for an extension, and that the Subdivision Map Act grants an automatic 60-day extension in order to process the approval. So that's what we're under now. So it would expire 2 months from November 12th, which would be January. So, so the project, I guess I can share that and just go over it really briefly. What was approved in 2019. Okay, so this is the location map. And so it's in the southwest corner of the city to the west of 101 and to the east of the river. So that's the Riverwalk area, that's Alomar Way and Kenmar Road, basically between the 12th Street interchange and the Kenmar Road interchange. And you can see, well, I guess not really on this one, but the next slide. So this is the 5.99 acre, almost 6 acre parcel, Alomar Way, 101, Eel River is to the west. And so this is the freeway commercial zone of the city. The freeway commercial zone is the Riverwalk district. That's the general plan land use designation. And then this is the tentative map that was approved. The outer boundary is the 5.99 acre parcels, and the subdivision proposes a line through the parcel, creating the 2 acre parcel on the north and 3.99 acres on the south. And what you see here is a potential project that was conditionally approved. You know, it was design review, I think, went to the Planning Commission for a diesel repair shop. And so the existing infrastructure in Alomar Way, the conditions of approval that I attached to your staff report shows, you know, all of the conditions. Typically on a subdivision, there would be public improvements. City infrastructure is in place in Alomar Way, so there aren't a lot of city improvements. I think the main one is for this project is just adding the sidewalk. The main issue with the project, the site, is that there is a wood waste landfill. I think it's a class 3 landfill. It can be constructed on with proper engineering, but it is under the jurisdiction, permitting, and approval of the Regional Water Quality Control Board. The conditions, if you had a chance to review them, do require compliance with the Water Board. They had issued an order or I guess a permit to construct some years ago, and it is under that order still with, you know, pretty lengthy requirements. The but that order was for just construction, not a subdivision. So splitting the parcel brings in, other potential issues. So that is also under their reviewing authority. And currently the applicant has not, had sold or had the parcel available for building until it gets that approval. And the water board is having some additional testing done on the site, gas release. And they've tested for settling. There's some another test, I don't remember which one, but so it's undergoing that. And at some point, we assume that will get approved, that they'll demonstrate that the site is safe, and then the map will be able to get recorded. So that's the goal, and that's what that's what we're moving forward on, and the property owner is as well. So as far as map extensions, those are governed or operated under the State Subdivision Map Act. And again, as I said, it allows for initial 2 years of map life, and then an additional 5 years of discretionary extensions after that initial 2 years. So right now we're at that 2-year point. And then once this is approved, there will be the opportunity for additional extension requests by the applicant for a period of 5 years. And then, so the MAP Act does state that approvals must get granted unless it can be shown that there's, some new health and safety issue, or, non-compliance with city, maybe the general plan or something like that. But you would have to make those findings, and staff doesn't see any changes that would suggest that it not be approved for that extension. And then with regards to conditions of approval, the city may add extra conditions. And so normally those conditions are sort of protected once an approval is granted, the conditions apply, and we aren't allowed to add any new conditions normally. With the extension process, you can grant or you can require new conditions, but again, it's based on a demonstrated need, or maybe some non-compliance with city policies, zoning code, or general plan, something like that. And again, there haven't been any changes in the area or changes to any city policies or goals or programs or anything like that would require that the extension not be granted. So, without anything like that to change the conditions, this is really just almost an administrative procedure. So with that, I will pass it back to the Planning Commission for consideration.
Thanks, Liz. Okay, anybody have anything they want to talk about on this project?
Is this our second extension? I think it
This
is.
is-
Isn't it?
No, this is the first extension.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been 2 years since it was originally approved. You have done a couple of other extensions in the last year or two. The Avery Court Cook subdivision was extended last fall,
I'm probably thinking of one of those then. Okay.
but since then that map has been recorded.
I have a question. Liz, did you say that parcel that we see gray for most of it is projected to be a diesel repair shop? Is that what you said?
Yes, it's my understanding that business owner who had an agreement to purchase that parcel, if the subdivision did go through, has withdrawn that project. But yes, the freeway commercial zone does, as a principally permitted use, allow repair shops.
And what other kind, it's generally, it could be industrial as well as hospitality commercial, like some of the surrounding, or it could be office space, correct?
Not office. Office is not one of the listed principally permitted uses. Retail, restaurants, hotels, those are the things that we want to see down there. And those
Okay.
are, yeah. Auto repair is, considered tourist serving. It is in the code that is allowed. And so the applicant presented that the diesel repair is, they would also repair RVs and things like that to serve the traveling public.
Could it be mini storage?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, not hear anything else. Let's open it up to public comment. So again, members of the public can be heard on this item, so please, Katie's gonna flash that information up again, and if you're out there and want to talk about this, please do, let everybody, we will be glad to hear from you and answer your questions. Heard something. Give it a moment or two, and pretty straightforward on this, right? While we're waiting, is there anybody have any other questions or comments about this project that they want to talk about? No, it's not dead air. Okay.
I do have a question maybe for Liz. Hey Liz, when we go to make the motion, do we need to include in that motion the parcel size like it's indicated, or is that already kind of going forward with the motion to extend? Is it noted that way as a 2 and 3.9? I don't recall.
I believe it, yeah, the staff report had the correct title and the motion should as well.
So when we make the motion, should we add that we'd have 2 parcels, one being 2 acres and the other one being 3.99 on the subdivide?
Let's see.
And then have a second part to that same question. Do we want to indicate when this extension would begin, which would be January of 2022?
So the staff report motion is a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Fortuna approving an 18-month extension for the Franny tentative map. That should be fine. And then you don't need to include the date because
It'll automatically come up.
yeah, let's see. I'm looking at the resolution. It should say in the resolution that it's for a period of 18 months.
Right, it does.
It says 18 months. I
Approval.
didn't know if we needed to indicate when the 18-month extension begins.
So I don't think that we have to call out the date that it begins.
Okay, that's fine. I was just curious.
That's just automatic under the MAP Act. And then we do track it and we provide the table that you see in the staff report showing the dates of expirations, and that's to help the applicant track the dates as well. They're actually responsible, although we track it, and in that monthly report that you receive sometimes that we do have a table of the extensions. And then typically, like in this case, we let the applicant know that it was about to expire and they needed to turn in a request.
Okay.
So I think it's fine just to call out the 18 months. That's what the MAP Act allows that.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure for some clarity.
Mhm.
And then if we haven't had anybody call in, then Katie, I'd like to make the motion that we suspend the public participation at this time.
I second.
Okay. So hearing nothing, we're gonna move on. So anybody have any other questions or comments on this project? If not, we're looking for a motion.
I'll make the motion to adopt resolution number P 2021 3077. A resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Fortuna approving an 18-month extension for the town of Fernie tentative map. I hope I said his name right.
You butchered it just a little bit, but you're good.
I second that motion.
All right. I think we need.
All right, roll call
Katie on
vote.
this one.
Commissioner Blakely,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bradley,
Yes.
Commissioner Hallie,
Yes.
Chairman Mobley,
Yes.
and Commissioner Sights.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, there you go. Congratulations. All right, let's move on to number 2. Public hearing, consider approval for a conditional use permit for a 13-unit multifamily development, approximately 25,000 square foot lot. And this is Travis Sanders that is doing this over off of Newburgh Court. So can we get background on this, please?
Yes. I'm going to go ahead and share the overhead. Let's see. This is on here. Okay, so the location of this proposed project is north of Newburgh Road and southwest of Rooneyville Road, kind of in this multifamily commercial triangle here on the kind of the north end of town. And this is the overhead that shows this, the site itself. It is a vacant parcel and it is surrounded by multifamily uses. So literally everything on its adjoining boundaries are multifamily developments, with the exception of the Renner gas station, which is just a couple, well, there's one intervening parcel. So Newburgh Road is a public road. Newburgh Court is public up to a certain point just past this section. There is that turnaround that was constructed to serve these parcels. This was subdivided about probably 8 years ago, creating these two parcels. Actually, it was part of a larger area. This is the Wagon Wheel multifamily development. And then this parcel is partially constructed. You saw that as a design review. Actually, I think I used permit as well. So that's a similar type of development as this one. And then I believe these two parcels are built out actually by the same owner, as well as Kathleen Court is by the same owner. And so you can see the type of development is similar in nature to what has just recently been constructed. The zoning of the larger area is multifamily, residential multifamily, with single family further to the south and commercial along Fortuna Boulevard to the west. So this is the site plan. And let's see. So here's Newburgh Court, and you can see that partial cul-de-sac, and the dark line is the boundary of the property. And there are 4, so the proposed project is to approve all 4 of the buildings. The 2 ones that are in red and with the addresses on them, that's actually highlighted for the next agenda item, which is design review for these buildings. So they're only proposing 2 buildings currently, but ultimately they do plan to build, the full build out of the site. The project is, as I said, it's in the residential multifamily zone, which does allow conditional uses. It requires a use permit for 6 or more units. So 5 or under is principally permitted. This obviously exceeds, that number. So it is subject to a use permit. It does meet, this development meets the zoning standards of the Fortuna Municipal Code for residential multifamily. as far as setbacks, parking. So there is an existing driveway that serves the other parcel as well. There's a common shared easement. And then this project would construct a new access road or driveway to serve these parcels. So each of the units has a enclosed, parking structure or garage, and then for one space, one car each, and then additionally there's parking on the outside, so one covered and one uncovered for each of the units. That's according to the code. It meets the general plan land use designation for density. So it's a residential high general plan designation that has a density of up to 29 units per acre. And that would allow up to 16 units on this parcel. It's a half-acre parcel, 25,000 square feet. So they're close to that density. They're proposing 13. That's about all they could fit. They would, in order to meet that maximum density, typically they would need to do, like a three-story structure, which is harder to fund. So we don't really see those in Humboldt County too much, although, ideally we would like to get that infill development and get the, the affordable housing, especially in these residential, the multifamily zones. But, economics being what it is, they're pretty close to that. So the project also has open space surrounding the units, and I'll go over the landscaping in more detail in the next agenda item, but they do have a mix of lawn area in the front and on the rear up there, bark next to the walkways with some landscaping there as well, and then cobblestone in the these are more of drainage, so it's still open space, but they've got the cobblestone where the drainage will flow for the most part. And then these are the elevations, which again, we can discuss, or you can discuss in the next agenda item. Oh, let me go back. The two addresses that you'll see, 2410 and 2420, you'll see reference to those in the next slides. So the 2410 is along Newburgh Court, and 2420 is in the corner back there. So, they're similar in style. They're actually pretty much mirror images of each other. The parking structures underneath, and then we've got dormer windows, the entryways, and windows. And then we can talk. You can ask questions if you want to discuss the design, but that will be part of the design review agenda item following this one. So it's pretty standard. It meets the code, it meets the zoning code. It's similar in nature to the surrounding area. So that's really all I have on this. I think it kind of is consistent with the neighborhood and consistent with what city has seen in the past. So and approved in the past. So that sort of meets the expectation. And if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them.
Okay, any questions for Liz? Liz, I have one. You know where I'm going, because it's where I always usually go. Where they putting the trash, where they putting their stuff?
So they plan on having individual trash cans. So they would, each unit would, store the trash cans in their garages. Is that what they do, Chris? Do you know, on that nearby street, Kathleen Court?
Yeah, it's not fun. So yeah, so it's on the same line. It's usually up underneath by the front porch is where they usually store them. And with the recycle, the garbage, everything like that, different cans, putting them out of the street with the parking the way it is on Newburgh Court, because it's a single lane. It's extremely tough. And that little half court thing. Sorry, but it's no help at all. But it is what it is. We make do.
I don't see the applicant here. Katie, Travis Schneider's not here. I don't see.
No, remember he said he was going to be out of town.
Oh, okay. It would
So
be nice.
I know with the rest of them, it was the same kind of deal. We've talked about it, and it's where it is what it is. We just make do with what's what. It's just, I don't, in my opinion, and just me, I'm not happy with packing a whole bunch of people into a single area with a 1-lane road, and the parking is just horrible. So I'm really not a favor of all this unless they want to do something with that road. And that's just where I'm at.
This is more of a question for Chris, since you know the waste disposal needs. Is there a workaround? Like, is there a simple solution to put trash cans in a different spot or anything?
No, there's not, because the road, if you've been down there, if you looked at it, it's very tight. Kathleen Court, Newburgh Court, they're very small roads. They're not divided roads. There's not supposed to be parking on the street, but everybody does, because the way we have our parking for planning is that we have, I can't remember the exact terminology. Liz, can you help me on that one?
For which? Say that
For the
again.
parking per unit.
Oh, it's 2 spaces per 2-bedroom unit and 1 space per 1-bedroom unit.
Right. So everybody knows, there's, nowadays with costs so high, you have a family of 2, 3, everybody's working just to afford rent and food. So it's just the way it is. And so we just work around what we have. It just makes it a little tougher to what we got going on. So I just never been a real fan of the apartments being all packed together in one location on a small road. And this is just another one. And I understand what they're doing. They're being within the standards. So they're doing what they have to do to meet standards, and I get it, but I'm not a fan of it.
I believe that the planning commission has the ability to require a single trash receptacle, to meet the needs of the solid waste provider. I don't know if it would work on this site as well.
Yeah. And honestly, Liz, right now with what's going on with the state of California and their requirements being changed, I wouldn't even tell you where to go right now. I honestly wouldn't, because I know they're talking about organics and making it mandatory for everyone and all this stuff, and I don't know where to go with that. So I wouldn't do that to this customer, this applicant, in any way, shape, or form right now.
Okay.
Now, Chris, you're referring to waste disposal regulations, correct?
Yeah,
Still?
at this moment, they're changing a bunch.
Okay.
So I just the whole thing, like I said, the court, the way the little court set up, if you drive down there right now, I'll bet you there's probably 8 or 10 cars in that little court right now. And there's not supposed to be any parking on the street. But we know there's going to be. So it's the way we have it set up with the city and the parking structure and how many cars and stuff like that. It's just, we need to really revisit how we do the parking, and in just my opinion. And I'm not going to hold these people up. I really not. I don't want to do that to anybody, because they're doing what they're supposed to do. It's just the way it is, and what we need to look at, in my opinion, in the years to come, is how we address the parking situation for these multifamily spaces, and it's just not right. It's just not. We need to make the road wider, the parking spaces there should be more of. Just the way I look at it, but
Hey,
we can go on from here.
Just to clarify, so these cars that are parked there, the reality of it, the practical need, these are residents of other adjacent multi-family units
I
close by
believe so.
on
It's
Newburgh Court?
it's either that or part of the business that is right next to it. Yeah, but
Okay.
I believe they're more likely to be part of
Well, let me,
Fortuna
the
Rehab?
different residents. Yes.
Okay,
let
very
me
good.
piggyback on this. I used to live on the adjacent street over there in Shea Court. And if you have a couple, you usually are two incomes, which means two cars.
Right.
So if you have one bedroom, one parking spot, you've already added another density to the street with another car, and you get the other multi-units doing the exact same thing. And this is the issue, Chris, that I think you and I talked about before with regards to the parking over there in the previous project.
Right.
And
And they're all the projects are the same. They're
Right.
doing the minimum standard, which is what we've asked them to do. The city needs to, and the planning commission needs to step up and say, hey, if we're not liking it, we need to change it. And in my opinion, I think we need to change how we do business, that you have 2 bedrooms, you have 3 bedroom, whatever. There needs to be reality set in and say, like you just said, Kevin, there's 2 incomes going on, there's 2 cars. 99% of the time we know that's going to be true.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
no, I concur. And that's my point, is that it's one of the things I was going to bring up, is the whole thing with the street parking. It's becoming more difficult for people to navigate with all the cars on that block as well.
Right.
I don't know if we are, Liz, tell me if we are even in a position to make corrections or suggestions to the applicant with regards to considering, instead of, I think, what is it, 4 units, making it 3 where they can accommodate some more parking or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't want to, and personally, I don't want to change his plans or anything like that. I just want, what I was bringing it up for is for future consideration, that maybe we should really revisit this, and how the city's doing business, and asking people to restructure what we're doing. Can we redo the code to add more parking to these as we go forward? I mean, today he did what he did what you asked him to do. I don't want to change that. I'm just bringing it up as a fact of matter.
Yeah, you actually will have an opportunity to visit this under the planning grant that we are working on, and that's what the accessory dwelling unit ordinance that you had considered a couple months ago. So that's under that grant. And one of the next program task that we're going to bring to you is multifamily standards. So the standards, the idea is that we create a set of standards, and if projects comply, then they're approved administratively if they follow all of these certain standards. And that's something that actually the state HCD, Housing and Community Development Department, is requiring of all the cities in the state to streamline approvals, multifamily, affordable housing. So, I think that'll be a great time to discuss parking, and to, we can keep that in mind and bring up some options for you, and maybe, study it a little bit. What do other cities do to address the parking issue for multifamily?
And again, people, I'm not trying to change this applicant's plans in any way. I don't know if anybody's been down to Santa Rosa and some of the apartments and multifamily stuff down there. People are parking 2-3 blocks away. because there's so much and they've packed them in so tight. I think it's ridiculous. I don't want to see that happen here. But again, they're meeting the standards that we set. So since we're setting them and they've submitted their plans that way, I'm not asking them to change them. I'm just bringing the fact up that I'm not liking it. And I think at some point we need to change it because we know we're going to have more of it coming to us.
You know, and I think the only real solution is to either, because the problem is the layout, you know, the buildings and the parking together take, and then the open space requirement takes up so much space that they can't balance it out. You know, to add more parking, they would have to have fewer units, and then
Right.
the project isn't going to pencil out. So they would have to go, you know, in order to get more area for parking, they would have to build their building higher, or build a tall parking structure. So, you know, and then that's
If you look
increase-
at your map right now and see the open spaces that are still there, can you go back to the satellite view?
oh yeah,
You see the open spaces that are still available, if they are still available, because how long ago that map was taken. We know there's more coming.
Yeah,
in
those
the
two,
same
yeah.
areas.
yes, they're both under construction.
Right, so the one next to Renner is, I know that one's almost complete. The one behind Renner that we're talking about, and then you have the great big field over there.
Yeah.
There's a lot that's gonna be coming, and if we don't change it when we can, we're gonna live with what we have, and it's, in my opinion, it's just gonna make it worse in the long run.
Hey, Liz, this map, it's gotta be at least a couple years old, because on Shea Court, there, that barren area right there is the apartment building that I lived in, and it's not there. And I know that was like 3-4 years ago.
Not
So-
the wagon wheel.
No, just if you keep going across the wagon.
Oh,
wheel,
this one.
Right there.
yeah.
Yeah, that one's the same way. That one's been done.
Right. And I'm just saying, I
And-
lived in that, and that was 3 or 4 years ago. So these maps are getting kind of old for us to really be working off of based on some of the density that we need to be talking about. Because we were saying, oh yeah, I remember this, I remember that. But I don't know if there's a way for us to, even if we have to hand draw some things in to give us an idea of what's there
Mhm.
when we talk about some of these projects, to look at the density that we're trying to approve.
Good
I
point.
really appreciate the perspective that's brought up. Maybe if our discussion continues, or even if it doesn't, we could open it up for public comment.
Yeah, absolutely need to do that. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, no problem.
So anybody out there that has a comment such as what we're into or want to bring a different perspective, please do. As we're waiting, is anybody else having comments on this besides?
Well, I want to piggyback on the whole thing that Liz brought up. That Liz, when's that project coming in front of us in the next couple of months you're talking about?
Yes.
And I guess part of that, we could incorporate our discussion. I wish I could remember it, where we were talking about the what the state was saying we could do with regards to, you know, creating those modular, whatever, like Airbnbs in their backyard that can be bigger than our home kind of thing.
The short-term rentals.
Yeah, but it wasn't short-term rentals. Remember we were talking about where they could, based on
Auxiliary dwelling units.
auxiliary
There
dwelling
you
unit,
go.
that's the word.
Thanks, Sandy.
I couldn't think of it. Thank you, Sandy. And that whole issue is a part of the things that we're talking about too, with the street parking and everything else. And I mean, I have no problem with what we're trying to do to grow the city, but we're not doing it in a pragmatic way. We're have some projects like this that are good projects, but we're not thinking far enough into the future, like Chris is mentioning, based on the density for parking and other issues that we're going to be seeing going forward. And I think that's only going to create problems, because let's take this as an example. We haven't even brought this up yet. What about the fire department? If we got all the streets parking in there, is it going to be creating problems for them to be able to get in and out in case of emergency? I don't know. But those are some things that we should be bringing up before them as well.
These projects, Kevin, like that we're talking about tonight, has already gone before the fire department and received approval.
No, I
Yeah.
understand, but the thing is that as we start growing more density, we're gonna have more parking. And that's one of the things if I was a betting man, they haven't really even talked about. Because we don't look at the future projects, we look at the current one.
And the fact is that it went in front of the fire department, and I just gotta bring this to you. So
Well,
is
it's
that,
gonna, it's gonna become an enforcement issue.
right, it is.
Right.
So and it's just gonna be a issue down the road. You know, the fact that it went in front of the fire department, in my opinion, means nothing, because they're gonna show up when they don't have to worry about breaking things or hitting things. They don't have to do it 3-4 times a week like we do. So they're showing up when things are already bad. So it doesn't mean anything. One time, you know, a year, or one time every 10 years, no big deal. It's the everyday getting in, getting out, taking care of regular business on a daily basis. That's a whole different process. And that's where I look at it from. And I know I bring it up every once in a while, and I hope I'm not pushing it, but it's a fact that it happens. It's a day-to-day thing that we need to look at, not just a hopefully once in a lifetime moment. But anyway.
I have a question, you know, procedurally, where our task tonight is to look at the specifics and obviously not, but not this to become the main thing, but it's a valid point. So procedurally, like parliamentary type procedure stuff, what does a planning commission do to further explore this issue? And yet, you know, what do we do? So it's not just left like, oh yeah, we talked about it, but you
So
know,
we have to
Yeah.
bring it to Liz's attention and put it in front of Liz to say, hey, we want to bring this up in a regular scheduled meeting, that we talk about the parking situation for this, and about making these changes at some point.
Yeah, we can schedule a discussion, like a presentation of, you know, what your questions are, what you want to hear, you know, just in general parking, or, you know, what do other cities do? What are some options for how to address it? Or what ways can cities alleviate that problem when they're approving projects? I mean, that's something that, you know, I can definitely research and present to you. And another option you have, you know, it could be following a discussion like that. You could, it wouldn't need to be on the agenda that you were going to be voting on, say, a recommendation to the city council that staff, you know, bring this up as a, you know, potential code amendment or something like that, however it plays out.
so is the best format our regular meeting, or do we as a planning commission ever do like more informal work groups that everyone's invited to, but that isn't necessarily mandatory, but that some of us could sit down with staff and just
Yeah,
brainstorm?
I think that option is in the bylaws, and I can take a look at that and bring that to the next planning commission meeting. So what your options are under the bylaws, I think it does allow you to make, you know, you can form a smaller working group, and that working group can research it or do whatever, you know, you assign to it. Or the planning commission as a whole could meet at, you know, like a workshop that would kind of be offline. It wouldn't be a regular hearing where you're on, you know, TV. So it would be more informal and more of a discussion format. So those are a couple of options.
Liz, when's the last time we reviewed our 20-year comprehensive plan?
You're talking about the general plan?
Yeah,
The general plan was adopted in 2010.
okay. I'm just curious if we could get a copy of that somehow, the review of it, you know, in conjunction with some of these other things we're talking about, but that's 12 years old.
Yeah, I can send you the link. You may have had it printed out for you if you received a, you know, a box or a stack of books, or we provided you with the link on the website.
Yeah, I think we had the link, and I don't have it. It's probably there. I just don't know exactly where to go digging for it.
I can send that to you.
Chris, do we have any takers on the public comment?
We do not.
I move that we close public comment.
I second.
Thank you. Sorry to put all this on you guys. Didn't mean to extend this out any further than needed to.
No, I
Uh,
think that's very valid, and sorry to interrupt even after I seconded there, but I think that the topic is very much worth more discussion and proposals, and if Liz could follow through with, and other staff, if she needs help or whatever, I think we should do a little more work on this as planning commissioners, or, at least receive that input on what we can do, what we can't do.
Okay,
Go ahead.
I'll talk to the city manager and get his take on how to format, how to get this back on the agenda for you procedurally, but I'll definitely give you an update at the next meeting.
Sandy, can I ask you a quick question? I remember you and I talking a while back, it's been a while, about a few things that you remember when you were on the planning commission before, that you see like downtown, that things that we could add to it. Should we do like maybe a workshop at some point where we bring all those things at one time?
Yeah, were you referring, Chris, to when I was on the commission in Crescent City and we had put the ordinance in effect that if auto repair place either had to put their vehicles inside or have a fence around the facility that blocked the view. Most of the time it was a chain link fence with slats in it, and it's not the best, but it does the grip. Yeah.
So it's a same kind of thing, is that I see it in one perspective as what I need to deal with on a day-to-day basis. You're seeing it as something else. Maybe if we all put our heads together and jot a few notes and say, hey, here's some of the things that I'd like to see, or that maybe we can make, check out the ordinance on what's going on. How can we make these things better and bring it all at one point instead of one at a time and having to go back and back and back? And would that be a better option?
I think that'd be a good idea. And I believe, and Chris and Liz, you can correct me on this, but I believe that we can draft an ordinance. It has to be approved of by the city council, of course. But we can draft an ordinance.
Right. And
Yeah.
so when we look at so maybe if there's something out there that somebody else is looking at, I know for me, the parking things is a big deal for me. I'm with you on the chain link fence thing, or the having all the dead cars on the street thing. There might be something else out there somebody's looking at. Maybe we can do a meeting at some point, or put it part of the agenda that we bring these things up, and that we say, okay, these are the things we want to look at, making an ordinance or making a change to the ordinance on.
Yeah.
Some places actually had where they could pay for like $5 a year, a parking permit that was associated to their housing area. And it's a very small fee, and it gives them parking privilege, and it helps with the code enforcement because it's a sticker that goes on their window and it protects their parking area, and it's limited to how many cars per that area. It's a hard thing, but it's an idea that some company or cities have been working with.
We already have that in place around the neighborhood around Fortuna High School.
Okay.
I think that procedurally, a workshop or a work group is a very good idea, because we could brainstorm like this, and staff can also rein us in when they know of information that would bring a certain point to a termination.
We're getting too far out of bounds.
No, I think it's great. Stephanie, you've been quiet. Any input on us, following through on this idea that we see?
Oh, no, I think it's a great idea. I'm just listening. I'm learning and listening with you. So
I think it's very important. I think it's a great idea. And if something comes up where we learn that it all comes to nothing, that's one thing. But when you know that the practical matter is such that it could be improved, which Chris has talked about and Kevin has, this is why we're here to serve. So I think it's great. And with that, I would call us back to the motion that's been seconded.
Well, we don't have to voice vote on that one. It's just, we
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
close public comment, but not ours.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Um,
Now
we-
we need either discussion or
Yes, we do.
a motion.
Yeah, we need to get back to the topic at hand, and this is the fact that these people want to talk about their building and putting in this apartment complex. Does anybody have any other comments besides what we've been doing about this apartment complex?
I personally think we've talked this topic pretty well.
You
so-
know,
Yeah, I
actually,
think so.
I would like to go back to sharing the screen, and I think it might be helpful or interesting to let you know what the staff's discussion on the parking was, because we did have that discussion and it did involve the fire department. So, and it is reflected in the conditions of approval as well. So the fire department did review and comment on this, and they did mention their frustration with parking on narrow roads. And so what they asked for and what we're doing is the half cul-de-sac will, the curb will be painted red so that there's no parking. And then for Newburgh Court as a whole, it was decided that, you know, that the parking, the street parking would be better on the north side, I guess it's the northeast side, rather than on the west side. So because there are a lot of driveway, there's already a lot of driveway cuts here, and there's not a lot of area for parking, street parking. So that side is going to be painted red, and that what that will do is leave room for the fire trucks. And the road is wide enough, it's got two probably 10-foot travel lanes, and then at least an 8-foot parking lane, and that will be on the north side. So it's intended that overflow parking will be on the north side, and then the south side will be painted red. So that's going to leave the two.
And we
Yeah.
could put signs up that says resident parking only.
Well,
Wait,
this is a public.
That's probably a workshop item, Kevin.
Yeah.
Right, no, I agree. I'm just saying this is,
I
we
think
could go on and
that,
on.
yes, I think we need to be proactive in that and probably maybe permit parking.
Yeah, this side is a
Yeah.
public road, so it's enforceable by the Fortuna PD. The parking will be enforceable, as opposed to the private roads or the internal parking lots where we don't have any jurisdiction. So when they get overcrowded and block the trash trucks and the fire trucks, we're, you know, our hands are tied and we're not able to enforce those.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll give that back to you.
Thank you. All right.
Well, I would like to keep this moving and make the motion to adopt resolution P -2021-3075, a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Fortuna approving the conditional use permit for 13 multifamily units on Newburgh Court.
I second.
Okay, Katie, please.
Roll call vote, Commissioner Blakely,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bradley,
Yes,
Commissioner Hallie,
Yes,
Chairman Mobley,
Yes.
and Commissioner Sights.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Sorry to get you off track. I really am.
that wasn't off track. That was a good topic.
I think it's good discussion.
Okay, well, now we're gonna go back into the same discussion about this thing. So this is a consideration of approval for a design review for 2 multifamily buildings on Newburgh Court, including building elevations, colors, and lighting, landscaping. So back to the same thing. Liz, got background on it?
Yes, so this is the project that, it's a continuation of the same project and design review. Same site plan in 2410 and 2420. So the application materials that were in your packet include the site plan, building elevations, building colors, and lighting fixtures. And I've got this on the overhead here, so this is going to be a quick presentation. Let's see. Okay, so these are the 2 buildings that are proposed. And so generally, You know, these are consistent with what has been constructed, you know, say maybe over the last 10 years in Fortuna, sort of a craftsman style, kind of, I think it fits, you know, the history and the style of Fortuna. And these are also what the applicant has built a number of in the neighborhood. So you can see they've got a pretty good pitched roof, dormer windows, the fixed pane windows with the smaller panes up at the top for that decorative look. They've got good overhangs all around, horizontal siding, and then there are shingles in the dormers or in the gables. Good roof line variation and a lot of different building planes. You know, that keeps it from looking monotonous or boring. So it's got a lot of you know, different angles. It's got insets in the garage doors, with little panes or insets, and also in the doors. Front porch columns with stonework. So it's consistent with the height and the density and the activities in the surrounding neighborhood. Let's see the colors on 2420. We've got the brown body and the dark brown trim and what they call redwood, you know, dark red or barn red doors, the stone column and a brown comp roof, a dark brown comp roof, shingle roof. And then 2410 has a, you know, it's the same style, it is mirrored. And it's got the light gray body, darker gray trim, again, the redwood color doors, and then the brown roof comp shingles. And then on the next slide, so these are the actual detailed elevations. The landscaping plan is on that site plan, and it does, I pointed out earlier, that does have a variation in the ground cover. So it's got lawn in the front and the back. It's got bark in the walkway areas, and then cobblestone in the sort of more drainage areas. And then the landscaping plants themselves include trees, a white bud mugo pine, and then an October glory maple, shrubs of boxwood, and then the lawn, the ground cover or the smaller shrubs would be several types of fountain grass. And let's see, the lighting fixture is, it was on this, it's on your larger plans, and they are opaque light fixtures that are along the, I don't think they do show them just at the doorway. So just small lights at the doors that are, you know, in some frosted opaque glass or material. And that's it. I'll hand that back to the commission.
Thank you, Liz. Anybody have any comments, questions to Liz about that?
The last time we had this presentation with their design review, I thought it was exceptional, so.
Yes, exceptional.
Yeah, I think it looks good.
So,
It's better than some of the old apartment buildings around this town.
yes, it does. Liz, is it the same people that are right behind the renter?
The four large build, not the ones off of Smith Lane or the ones accessed by Newburgh?
Newburgh Court.
No, that is Bryce Lester. He's an individual builder.
Okay. Just asking. All right. Anybody got questions for listening? Let's open it up to public comment about this real quick. While we're waiting, any other comments about it? Talk about it. I think it looked pretty good. It looked, like you said, a lot better than some of the stuff we see around town. They always do a pretty good job on these. Katie, anything going on?
We are very busy.
We do not have any calls, though.
I'll make the
Okay,
motion that
you're
we close
busy.
public comment.
You started to worry me.
No,
I'll make the
we,
Motion that we close public comment at this time.
Thank you.
A second.
All right, so back to you folks. Anybody got anything to say? Looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Want to change the color?
Nope, it's perfect.
Tell you what, I'll make the motion to adopt resolution number P-20-21-3076, which is a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Fortuna approving the design review of the 2 multi-family buildings on Newburgh Court, including the elevations, colors, landscaping, and lighting.
I'll second that.
All right, Katie, your turn.
Roll call vote, Commissioner Blakely,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bradley,
Yes.
Commissioner Hallie,
Yes.
Chairman Mobley,
Yes,
and Commissioner Sights.
Yes.
thank you all. Sorry to get you so far into it with everything. Really am.
Chris, I don't think you need to apologize. I think even if something results in us being more educated, it benefits the purpose of why we meet.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, I don't think you need to apologize either, Chris. It's
You-
what we
you guys
signed,
know I
it's what we
kinda like to
signed up
push-
for.
I know, and you guys know I like to push these things along. We're all tired and had long days, and then to get into a conversation about this, and I think it's just at some point we really should look at how we're doing business, and if we're gonna not like it, then we need to change it. If we're not gonna change it, then we need to shut up and live with it. So.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to us getting together and discussing some of these things and, getting some input from staff and whatnot, keeping this on the straight and narrow.
That always helps.
Yeah,
That always
since we've
helps.
been here, we've not had a workshop for us, and I think that's a healthy idea.
Yeah, I was going to say that we have been offered workshops and graciously paid for. I've accepted 2, but it was nothing to do with our community at all.
Right.
So it's very nice. That's a very great idea.
And I do love that, the crew we have right now, the group we have right now, we all come from a really good different background. So there's a lot of involvement from each of us that we all have our own little thing to bring to the table and gives a different perspective as we're talking. So I really do. I think it's a really good crew of people we have going on right now, and I really appreciate it. So,
I concur, Chris. I think we've got a great commission going on. I also, we see this that comes to us every time before we meet, and the work that our staff does to prepare.
exactly.
And to
Exactly.
bring stuff up, I totally appreciate this.
And I really do. And I don't know by the rest of you guys, I really do. I mean, for me, having the big plans and being able to look at a set of real plans helps me so much than trying to look at it online or a little, 8.5 by 11 and getting the magnifying glass out, squinting. Yeah, we're all getting a little bit old, and the glasses don't always help. So having a really good set of plans really does help me a lot. So I really appreciate when I get those. So
Yeah.
I want to say this, we always thank the staff, and Gary, you're never there for some of those thank yous, and I know you're part of that staff, so we want you to know that those thank yous are extended. You just don't always hear it all the time. I know a little bit, but that little bit goes a lot this way. So, and also for the staff, we know that you guys have long days too, so we appreciate your patience with us.
and honestly, that's one of the reasons I like to push these things along, because I know they want to get home too. They've been here all day.
And so with that said, I'll make the motion that we adjourn unless there's something else on the topic.
I have a quick question. We touched upon it. 2 things. First of all, we still have an opening for another commissioner, correct?
yes, and an alternate, so 2
Yeah.
positions.
Okay. And secondly, our next meeting will be next year, correct?
Yes, the December 28th meeting is canceled, so yes, thank you for bringing that up.
No problem. Just want to communicate.
Liz, you and I talked about the fact that that's also when, as a reminder to put it in the agenda, to bring up the chair and vice chair. So we have that.
Yes,
set
you guys,
Our
please
notes. So,
start thinking about who you want to do business with instead of me. It's been a
Oh,
while.
no,
and it's been a
you're
while.
not-
and I really
You're
do
not getting off
appreciate
that easy.
the way I
Yeah,
see it,
you
Chris, if
guys
the wheel
do
ain't
need
broke,
to,
you don't fix it.
No, you're not
You
getting
guys need
off
to look
that
at
easy.
something. Come on.
Yeah.
I hear a train whistle.
No. All right. So anyway, so Liz, is there anything else we need to discuss? Do you have anything that we need to talk about?
No, I think we talked about a lot of good stuff tonight, and I look forward to, working on additional things with you guys. I think that's going to be
Can we
really.
just give you more stuff to do?
No, it's great. I think it's worthwhile. It's absolutely, of course, it's worthwhile, and
All right.
I'm gonna be involved and participate, as well. So I
All
look
right.
forward
Well,
to it.
thank you all.
Well, I did make the motion for us to adjourn. So if somebody wants the second, we can let our staff go home.
I second.
All in favor?
Actually, I think it's a roll
Do we
call.
yeah, Katie, we have to do that part?
Yes, for this we do. Last
Yes,
one.
we do.
All right. Roll call vote. Commissioner Blakely,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bradley,
Yes.
Commissioner Hallie,
Yes.
Chairman Mobley,
Yes.
and Commissioner Sykes.
Yes. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yeah, Merry
Yeah,
Christmas.
Merry
Happy New
Christmas,
Year.
all.
Happy New
Christmas,
Year.
happy holidays, happy New Year.
Thanks, you guys.
All right.
Thanks all.
See you next
Bye-bye.
year.
You get all be blessed. Everybody may be blessed.